This day 1521 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. They were doing your Adeh Simarei Sarivov, Sif Chav Hey to Sif Lam and Gimel. Reis Sarivov being what Reis Sarivov is, nowhere near the end. The entire week will be a Reis Sarivov. Chav Hey. Anas Shanas Kerem Yisrael, a bandit who stole a vineyard from Jew, Visara Bakfua, V'Yarakim planting produce, grain and vegetables. As long as the original owner's name has not been forgotten, the vineyard still called the first person's vineyard. He also has not given up hope of getting it back. Eno Ozer Cloud. It doesn't ask at all. Located in Karmacha, it's not called his Kerem. It's not the Kerem, the bandit that he's asked. The owner's name has been forgotten. Even though he hasn't given up hope, it becomes forbidden midaraisa. If the original owner's name has not been forgotten, but they gave him hope, it becomes also. Therefore, a bandit who planted the vineyard and took it from a bandit, the original owner got it back from the bandit. He should plant. He should harvest the grain immediately. I feel Chol even though near Kim Kain Kilayim, so it shouldn't look like he is sustaining Kilayim. So even though the bandit did not forbid the produce, because the original name is not forgotten and they didn't have hope. Nevertheless, he should do it as quickly as possible. If he didn't find workers to work at a normal wage, it's got to add up to a third of Biskarn to their normal wages. Say she in order to uproot immediately. If they're asking more than a third over the price, he didn't find workers at all. He should uproot them himself little by little. If the time that it's tarried before he was able to harvest it was more than 200 of its growth, also becomes also. The bracket says here, "Can you find much cost of Rambam, Shulchan Stuff, Sibches, the Ishtai is Ebchuli, much cost of growth, you got to test, and Sham, can't say the rush, Shavia Kes, Mr. Balachi base." Fascinating halacha. Could probably extrapolate from this other halachas as well. Chavav, V'dav Yerushalmi, Baruch Al Mashi, Zbardi Misar Shul Bailim, Afal P. Yerushalmi also says that if the original owner's name was forgotten, even though the original owner gave up, even though the name was not forgotten, it's also midirabanan. Makshev yesh kakazul nixels asks, can land be stolen halachically? Tarates and answers, abishain kakan nixels, even though land cannot be stolen halachically, kom yesh l'karka. Nevertheless, there is giving up hope on ground iron sham. Venakawat mitari yesh l'karka. Doesn't mean midaraisa is the halacha yesh l'karka. There isn't. Furthermore, the Lami Sumakar, why it is to be only Rabbar. Furthermore, the Adi Mukhal Reish Berek Suk, come in the Gimel the Sukkah, famous Gemara about Avankare. The Any Yush Lakarka, there is no Yesh for ground. And Mirabana Kamar, and so by Mirabana, she Yesh Lish, she is there, she is Asarakim. Yesh for this purpose that the venue become Osir. It's the Rash and the Tyson Sukkah. But if the name of the original owner is forgotten, even though he didn't give up hope, the land is not normally subject to theft. Nevertheless, he shall and also belongs to the bandit. The Karmach Krina Bay, it's called his vineyard. It's like somebody who's shouting on his house which fell and on his boat which sank at sea, which is for naught. That's the Rosh of the Rosh. Zayin, the wind which uprooted branches from the grapevine, and tossed them on to grain or yogurts and vegetables. What's supposed to do? What should he do? Obviously, it's still mechuber l'karka, right? It's the wind has cast the growing branches over the produce. If the wind pushes the grapevines over on top of the grain, Yigdam Yah should cut them down immediately. Imiru Ones Mutar, if some act of God stalled him, it's okay. If his produce, his grain was inclined underneath a grapevine, came Yerkos to the vegetable, Machzir, he inclines it the other way, restores it. It doesn't consecrate iron sham. Means to say she broke them. Okay, then just bend them, broke them, but lokram did not root them from their roots. Because obviously if they were severed, they wouldn't forbid. They're still connected. Luke, it was safer, and with grapevines, you can't really pull them back. Like in the end, because they're going to go back and bend over again. So it was just cut down the branches and gather the fruits. Is some act of God prevented him. When the act of God passed, it added 1 to 100, it's still usher. If you have produce which is inclined under the grapevine, you restore the produce from underneath the grapevines that come into the place. If you didn't take it back, it's still a Makadish. It's only if the roots of the produce are under the grapevine that they're rooted there. Then asers. Has the primary part stands outside the geffen, like Mizumi over here. The geffen only is inclined underneath the grapevine. So it doesn't aser. That's the Rav, the Bartanori. Come Machzir. Nevertheless, you take it back. Because it looks like you are sustaining Kilayim. Chavches. The time Tosef learned Tosef as Marshal Geffen, a branch of the grapevine Shesem Mula Gabi Tvil, which is inclined on top of the grain. I feel he mea amo, even as 100 amos. Kogem Kula Asura. He said the entire grapevine comes also, it and its fruit. Tvua Shenoit Tachas Geffen. If you have grain underneath the grapevine, you take it back the direction, it doesn't consecrate, doesn't answer. Send the vegetables. I can show them. Before, but it's clear the sichuk gefanim al that the inclination of the grapevines on top of the produce is more severe than the inclination of the produce underneath the grapevines. But Tom, he says when you have the produce inclined on the grapevines, the roots of the produce is distant from the grapevines. But when the grapevines are on top of the grain, the grapevines are one. They are bonded with, I guess, also the nearby root. Chavtes, Dover Muvan, so Sug Shik Shazaro Tvua or Yerek. Taz if they planted grain or vegetables underneath the grapevines, Lona Sukar Mashashasa, they don't become usher before they take root. Also, the grapes don't exist yet. Lo Shach Isser, must be actually grapes, not just branches. Maimasai Tvua Yerek Miskachi, when does the grain or the vegetable become consecrated? Also, Mishashishu once it takes root. And the grapes in Shasakvu when they come the size of a small white legume. With Fushi called sarka, a grain which has become fully dry. And grapes become fully ripe. They're not growing anymore. They don't consecrate. If grapes, once they become like this small white legume, Mazar Betina Tua or Wina Yarkos planted next to them a grain or a type of vegetable or types of vegetables, look at Azar and you gather the seeds before they took root, raise them with it's permissible to have benefit from it. If it took root also. Also the vineyard doesn't have grapes the size of a pool of laban, yet a guy named Boser, they're still unripe. Bizarre besochli yark, you plant in it vegetables or tvua or grain, bishishan that the root are raised a kiddush. They don't become consecrated, they don't become asa. Nevertheless, kotzimo, so we find in osim there, we forbid the seeds. Aval bosa mutter, but unripe grapes are mutter. Came she'eno peir gmuros is not absolute fruit. Ach im okar azer konim shiasu haganavin kafua lavan. If you uprooted the grain before the grapes became the size of a small white legume, harayz and mutter. I know it's the right benefit. And some became like that small white legume. Some did not. Eshenasu these kachu, those that became like small legume, they can become kilayim. Eshelonasu, those which have not, turning they're permitted. Lamed Gevin Shiyavshu Ali Mishalav and Naflu Kadesh Tiavish Gevin Bimekor, a grapevine where the leaves got dried up and fell, like very often happens in the winter. Asisra Batira Yarak or now the plant next to it, vegetables or grain. Being Zar Lokidish, if it did, it doesn't become consecrated, it doesn't become also. Chenazar Batsi Shenakum, somebody who plants in a non perforated planter, has no holes. Hamunach Bekan, which is in a vineyard. Lokidish, it doesn't make anything. Also. A bain shall eight doesn't matter if the flower pot is made of wood or pottery. The makas some makas martyrs, but we give him makas mirabanan. So it's a perforated flower pot that's like growing in the ground. So the reason I asked the by a dried up vine, because in the winter it's hard to distinguish dried up dead from moist. They're all dried up in the winter because the Yevation made decree by the ones which are dry and count the ones which are moist. If you have kites, even in the summer, you can tell which ones are dried up and which are not. Never see kites. No flea. Some places even in the summer the leaves fall off. Near Kibation, they look like they're dry because of Zevin. They say they ask one and count the other. You shall me. Here's some say it's completely dry. It's completely mutter. If you were planting through the vineyard, you had seeds inside your bosom, inside your shirt, whatever, and if men are zoim and the seeds fell from him, or the seeds went out with fertilizer or with water, or you're planting or hoeing in scattering. Actually, I'm not sure exactly what is here in the in a grain field. In other words, of grain. The siarto ruach and the wind who kicked up the grain behind you, and they grew. It's not consecrated. You will plant, but you didn't plant these. But you see it, you obviously have to uproot it. If you didn't uproot them, we'll see from a sign. And they added 1/200. Also, it's forbidden. You see out the ruach in front of the wind kicked it up in front of him. You saw this of the seeds falling to the vineyard. It's as if you planted them yourself. The Shami says you have to be standing in the wheat field, the grain field, and the wind working behind you. That's it's mutter. I'm not caring, but if you're in the vineyard, Zraim Becheko. Well, actually, that was obviously 11. If emphasis we're standing in the grain field, it's okay. We're standing in the vineyard. And you have seeds in your shirt or whatever. And the wind rouses them about. I feel achorba, so even behind you it's also. He's a bit of a pashet. He's negligent. He should have thought. He said funny that the wind will likely sweep them on the grapevines. How should he do if the wind sweeps them about in front of him? If he's standing in a there's a third such scenario in an orchard, a fruit field, or if he's standing in a vineyard, no matter what, or a field with lavan, or even in a grain field, and behind him, when he sees them, if great grass grew, uproot them by turning over the plow. It's enough. Shinas Aviv, he found already became Aviv. She had Tzamach Hazera, already grew El Shein Aviv Shlish, there is not yet a third ground. Yinapis Osam Aviv, so you should crush, demolish that first grain. Shkolas Manats also by Navi. But some Shinas Dogon, if you found them that they became fully grown, I raise it to say if you have to burn them. If you see them and you sustain them, Yesh Ol Chomer. There's another severity. She's to burn them with the grapevines adjacent to them. Base also lavor be'atzitz nakov shezarua b'yerek tokem. Now it's a plant pass with a perforated planter through which vegetables are planted within a vineyard. The yichot again because you put it underneath the grapevine. The shtar sham and some grains of ba'aretz in the ground. Kedei lo sif elmes time enough to add it to hundreds is also shekida sharek v'akfanim hasmuchilo. It forbids both the vegetables and the grapevines adjacent to them. Sure, she's according to the shir which we will mention. If you have onions to plant in the vineyard, and then afterwards the vineyards are uprooted, then onions grew from the bulb which is planted in the ground. That's the way onions work. Even though there's more even though there's more than 1/200th, more than 200 times, I should say, corresponding to the bulb. May be surah. Nevertheless, that original bulb is also imam with whatever grew afterwards. Whatever grows does not eliminate, does not negate the isser in the original bulb. Whatever grows is batel to the bulb. Butts are not just onions. It's also true with other vegetables. When they grow from their roots. Anything where the bulb does not get ruined, that works that way. But sometime where the seed gets rotted or before it grows, obviously not applicable. I see my mouth. How far do you have to distance the grain and the vegetables from the grapevines? If you didn't distance that far, the scouts should become consecrated. But you find 4 distances. In order to plant within a vineyard, you have to distance yourself 16 amos. It says Mishnah so he plants vegetables in the vineyard or Mekayim sustains it. It consecrates, meaning forbids 16 amos on each side. Agulos in a square, a circle, is not square. Because square you have some leniencies, obviously. But so you plants next to the vineyard, since it's not in the vineyard, but next to the distance is 4 amos. You have individual grapevines, not a vineyard of 5. You should find distance of 6 per gimel of the Mishnah. Like Ram writes in Torah Perek Zayin. So this right. So he plants next to a vineyard. Marking Arba Amos to this 4 amos, meaning correct finding from the roots of the grapevines. So any plant. If you may give any chidus, if it's an individual grapevine, marking Shisha Tvachim, then 6 Tvachim any plant. Shesh Benem Gadar Gavoa Tvachim. There's the fence 10 Tvachim high. Ain't no distance at all. This is what we learned below Yachbar and Balbasra. Person not plant a tree next to his friend's field. And can in our Bamas lesson. This is 4 amos. Show about grapevines. I could call any tree as well. I got to there's a fencing machine. Zesam are going to become. Zesam are going to each guy can go up to the base of the fence.